True Talks, True Talks. What's hidden out of sight, I bring into the light, right down to the bone where the truth stands alone. Tell it like it is, if it's her words or his. Speak the truth, leave the rest, cause this is the place where there's no BS. True Talks, True Talks.
True Talks, True Talks.
True Talks, True Talks.
True Talks, True Talks. Welcome to True Talks. My name is Jasmin. Tonight I have some wonderful guests. We are going to be talking about how do you experience your pain. I have a doctor, Dr. Tim March. It's a lot of fun. He's a chiropractor, but he works also with the energetic of the body, and I'll let him explain that. We also have two young men with me tonight. One has previously been a cutter, and the other young man is sober now from heroin and meth. I call these individuals brave and courageous, and I'm honored that they are here. Dr. Tim, thank you for joining me this evening.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. When my girlfriend told me about you, I wanted to research you a little bit, see who you were, what were you about. The interest I had is you also did a quantum spinal mechanics, or what is that?
That's what they call that. We try not to confuse people with all these different labels and names, but if anybody's heard of the NUCA technique, it stands for National Upper Cervical Chiropractic Association. And what that entails is it's a very light adjustment in which you bring this very top vertebra into alignment so that the whole brain can communicate with the body and the body can communicate with the brain. And once you do that, the body has this amazing ability to correct itself and unwind all these patterns. It's so amazing to watch this. You know, it took me probably a year and a half to convince myself that it was working. But this quantum spinal mechanics is a progression of that original NUCA technique. And so it's just more dynamic. We do a lot of adjusting standing, sitting, in the position of traumas. And so I've kind of taken it and made my own twist with it, make it a lot more fun and creative and exciting.
Okay. How long have you been doing this?
The quantum spinal mechanics?
Yeah.
About 4 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you do this work, do you have the chance to engage in the body's energetic field outside of the physical form?
Of course.
Really? Why
Yeah.
is that? Is that where everything happens, the magic?
A lot of people might not be aware of this, but a lot of the bigger institutions, and I think even Harvard did a study on this, where they're starting to look at the energetic body, that it doesn't just end here at the skin. It goes out at least 15 to 18 feet, maybe farther. So there's so much research and science now that shows that that's a reality. But we have a hard time believing what we can't see a lot of times. And so for me, that's just a natural part of what I do. And the more we tune in with that and work with that field, the more familiar it becomes.
I'm so curious about this. I used to do energy work years ago, and I could really go 10, 15 feet outside the body.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible that one day we'll see that we're bigger even than that? Just curious.
I believe that it's already that way, that we're all interconnected at a deep level. And I think Greg Braden, if you look at some of his work, I forgot the actual satellite system that they had set up, but they, a long time ago, put satellites up all over the world that looked at the electromagnetic spectrum of the planet as a whole. And what they got is from 9/11, when we had the terror tower attacks, that there was a huge spike in the magnetic field of the Earth with all these satellites, showing in some way that there was a connection. You know, there's a spike in this field, and that what they concluded from that is that basically all the hearts in the world are connected, and we're sharing information at that level.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I've always known and understood in my own way that we're all connected at 8 degrees, at 6 seconds to the next individual, or life trees and everything. But that's even more, they've always said, with technology, it kind of has to catch up with us, that we'll be able to prove it. You know, what a lot of us know and have known, we'll be able to prove it. Technology will catch up with us. That's
Exactly.
wonderful. When you do this type of work, do you believe that this is a gift?
I do believe it's a gift, and at the same time, I believe that everyone has this ability to do this. You know, it's something that I've had to learn over time, and the more time you spend paying attention, watching, listening, the more you get in tune with those fields and that part of your body. It's a different level of knowing that I would say, bypasses the conscious mind. And so, yeah, I believe everyone has this ability to do this.
Where do you think this power comes from?
I believe it's our inherent human right, that we are connected to a power that's so great that few people come to realize how powerful they are and how connected they are and how loved they are
Right.
from this field.
Do you think we're ready to know that?
I'm sure there's many that are, yeah.
I hope they all step up. We can start a community,
Yeah.
to help and express that. When you do this work, say from like when you first started to today, do you notice in people an acceptance of this? Do you see this more and more, or is it still a difficult thing to share when you do this work?
Yeah, this has been an interesting journey, because when I first started learning about this stuff, I thought everyone wanted to know the truth within them. And when I started working with people, you can tell that people were fearful and they were scared. And a lot of this stuff, people know that it's there, but when it comes to the surface to be seen, the truth is scary. So I used to scare a lot of people and and a lot of people would leave and not come back. And so what I had to realize is the more I trusted myself and the more I learned this information, it was really clear about what I knew and what my truth was, that other people were more responsive. So the less doubt that I had within myself, I conveyed that message to them that it doesn't have to be fearful for them as well. So it's been an interesting journey.
Are there ways, when I used to do energy work, I could talk to the spirit even though the body wasn't ready and still do work because they've walked inside my door. They walked in front of my door. So them entering in, spirit told me it's a conscious acceptance and agreement. So I would talk to the spirit sometimes when I saw the biology had fear or blocks. Do you do that in your work, or is that intrusive to you? Or?
For me, I so respect and honor the person that's coming in that I have that dialogue with them and make sure that they're comfortable, they know what kind of work that we're doing, and I let them know as much as I can. But if something comes through, it's almost like a feeling, that I used to not reveal that information, but it was to protect me so that I wouldn't be rejected or fearful. But I know now that if that comes through, that's important information for them. And so I usually give them that information, even if it's just a little piece of it,
Right.
I'm much more interested now in being able to support people in the way that best works for them and less concerned about how they feel about me, which I would say is one of the biggest blocks to doing that kind of work. Is there's a lot of people that don't understand, they don't know what to do with it, and they're scared.
Yeah, it puts you on that edge. My sister used to say something that if something comes to you, it's up to you to share it. And it's like sometimes when I did energy work, I tried to get the person open to it. So maybe they would ask, or if they would feel something, and I'd always fight that. And they said, nope, it was given to you. It's your responsibility to share it.
Yeah.
So that is kind of what I had to take on.
Yeah.
Now, the two young guests that are with me are very diverse in what they experience in their life as pain, the things that they're going through. One gentleman is a cutter, like I had explained. It's an energetic that is very frightful and very unknown to some people. I think in my generation it could be explained as drugs and alcohol, and we find a different medium to express or try to release emotional pain that we don't know how to talk about. Someone's not listening, so we have a gentleman here that today. Would you be willing to do some work on him? If you would.
Of course, that's why we're here. Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know. I thought I had asked, give that permission. I have to ask.
Of course.
So what I would like to do is to share a little bit about what cutting is. Before I share the clip, there's just an intro to it. I've tried to make it very acceptable. It's not graphic. But it does share the pain or the experience of what this truly is. So I hope you guys will follow. It's going to be a video, and I'm going to read along. So if we can do that in just a moment here. I am ready whenever you are. With people who cut, there's different ways of why, or people who abuse, there are different ways of why. Let's go over some of them. Expressing feelings that they can't seem to put into words, Feelings are so intense and so overwhelming that the pain of cutting is the best way some people know how to express them. They are expressing emotions that they can't put into words. They release trapped pain. Let's think of it this way. Think of a dam that's holding back water. As that dam grows to full, the pressure increases. When the dam breaks, pressure is released. Likewise, some people cut to release the pressure of the pain building inside. When they break their skin, intense emotions are released. They feel in control. For some people, they feel so out of control that cutting allows them to decide when they feel the pain. In this very small way, they are taking control, distracting themselves from difficulties they are facing. For some, physical pain actually becomes a distraction to the emotional pain a person is feeling. It helps them to cope with the intense feelings that they feel they can't cope otherwise. Feelings like guilt, shame, humiliation, fear, and or anxiety. They make themselves something when they have gone numb, when there's too much pain. Some people have been so overwhelmed by emotions that they now feel numb or even disassociated from the present. The pain of cutting pulls them back. It makes them feel something, even if that something is pain. They punish themselves because they feel guilty about something. Some people feel incredibly unworthy and a sense of shame. These feelings about themselves make them believe they deserve to be punished for something, and cutting provides that punishment. People who self-harm do not want to die. They simply want to feel something that quantifies their existence, something that makes them feel worthy or even that they are alive. To all of you that are watching this, that have done this, or are currently experiencing this, I want to say to you, you have held your light, even when you have been in the dark. The next guest that I have is the gentleman I spoke about. He is a cutter, and he has been brave to say he would step up and he would share with us this experience. So please welcome Daniel Hance.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. You're welcome. I'm so grateful you're here. First thing I wanted to you, could you share with us what is cutting to you?
To me, it's a physical manifestation of an emotional pain that became just too overwhelming for me. I had a very difficult time dealing with emotional problems that I had growing up, and it was kind of like you read in your description, a bit of a release. Getting some of that control back, and so it's a multifaceted action. It has a lot of different meanings to me.
At what age did you start cutting?
Pretty late, actually. Not until I was in my early 20s, early to mid 20s. I know a lot of people start when they're in their early teens or even childhood, and that didn't happen for me until I was well into being an adult.
I hear some start, the average age is like 11.
Yeah, I've heard that. It's really unfortunate.
That is overwhelming to think. I mean, there's a different dynamic of their knowing at that 11-year-old to it being 20. Why did you start cutting? Do you know why?
When I was growing up, I got bullied a lot. I got picked on.
As big as you are.
Oh yeah, I was.
Punch back.
I was a short, fat kid growing up.
You grew greatly.
Thank you. And my mom had tried to get in sober when I was really young. She'd tried to commit suicide when I was 5, and I was in the house when it happened. And as they were getting sober, my parents, I was not with them for a long time. And when we finally got our family back together, there was a lot of chaos. And then never really having that acceptance growing up in school, getting bullied a lot. As I got older and older, and I had less and less friends, I did more and more for attention. I would embarrass myself, do stupid things, so that people would like me. And when I got older, when I got into my early 20s, and I moved out of state from where I grew up to Oregon, and I finally had a group that I fit in with. I finally had that acceptance, but I was so determined to preserve my role in this group and to leave behind the life that I had. I knew that I had it in my power to change everything. And a lot of that change meant me standing up for myself, and a lot of anger came with that. And before I even started cutting, I started fighting. I liked the physical pain. I would let people punch me all the time at parties, let people knock me out, and I would love to fight. And I used to hate, I was terrified of fighting. I was terrified of physical pain. I would let people beat me up. And this was, early on in childhood, I was afraid to fight back. And when I got to Oregon and I started fighting, I realized that this was something for me to gain that control back. And I felt like I had to apologize to the world for being alive. And that the cutting and the fighting gave me a lot of that control back.
Yeah. Are there times now, how long have you not cut?
It's been over 5 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow. When you go through like day to day, do you ever think you'll go back? Do you get scared that you might go back to that?
I'm more afraid of the emotional problems that come with it than physical. I haven't had it manifest physically with cutting in a long time. So I really think that part of me is behind me now.
So how do you cope with those emotions that come up? There's such a key word, and because you have to feel.
Oh, yeah.
How do you get through that?
Well, like my friend, I had a big problem with substance abuse, drinking and drugs, and coping with it was drinking and more drugs and more fighting. And a lot of it was just based out of fear. I didn't know who was going to love me, and I didn't know if I was ever going to be with anyone or have friends. So I didn't know how to. It was mostly just anger. And when I finally got sober, I moved to Salem, Oregon, and moved into what's called an Oxford house. It's a clean and sober living house. And I did something that I never thought I would do, and I didn't want to cut anymore. I didn't want to hate myself. So I stayed by myself, and I faced every fear that I ever had of being alone.
At one time?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What do they call it? Like exposure therapy, like
Right.
when you have OCD. I had to induce this fear so that I could deal with it finally. And so I stayed in a place that I didn't know anybody.
Oh my goodness.
And I started talking to people finally because I felt so alone and so abandoned growing up that I didn't think anyone could love me. And the hardest part was not only loving other people, but letting them love me, letting people inside.
Wow. Yeah, they say that's the hardest part.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Today, how are you with someone loving you? Do you have someone in your life that does that?
Friends, family. I struggled for a long time with my self-acceptance, and they say, letting people love you till you can love yourself. That really wasn't possible for me at first at all. Like, I didn't know how to, and it took a very long time. It took me 2 years of in my sobriety before a lot of that rage and that anger went away. And I don't know, sometimes it gets me a little worked up thinking
That's
about
okay.
it.
I apologize. Yes, that's what I mean by you're very brave because you go back to that emotion, that place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I kind of got a little lost. I'm a little frozen
okay.
here.
That's all right. When you, like I said, in your day-to-day life, I went sober years and years ago. My sister and I, we had different things that we had to go through. The hardest thing was to say, how do I live? How do I live day to day? Getting the acceptance, I worked with her, but then I had to, in a relationship, I got into a relationship, and I had to allow that person to be there, to love me unconditionally. That was a healing thing for me. It really was. Have you healed those things with your parents?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I learned that I don't have to apologize for being alive anymore. And that's a huge part of why I cut was I thought that my sheer existence in this world was a burden to other people.
Right.
And I felt like it was a form of punishment. And I felt so ugly on the inside that I wanted my insides to match my outsides. And it was a way of showing people that even though there was a lot of fear, it's a lot of fear-based actions, it showed people that I wasn't afraid to fight anymore, that I wasn't afraid to stand up for myself. But it went too far.
Right.
I wanted to mutilate myself so that people could see how much pain that I was in.
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword.
Man, that's no lie. Now, and I want to ask you, Dr. Tim, as you're sitting there, Do you pick up on an individual? Do you pick up on someone as you sit there? Because we have a
Oh,
few.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a few minutes, and I don't know how long what you how long that would be. Do we have a few minutes to where you can, because we have break in about 6 minutes or so, and I didn't want to cut you short.
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about
Okay.
what came up. So what I do is just really intense listening and paying attention. So when you're talking, I'm not trying to think of all the ways and different things that are going on. I just kind of feel into it. And from that place, you get a different level of information. So what I hear you telling me, is that you were looking for acceptance and looking for that from everyone else around you because it wasn't there from the family. And so when I hear you talk, it's like that's the essence of what I see. And I also feel into your energetic body too. So when you're talking, it's first of all, it's so amazing that you're here and you're offering this to people. It's so courageous. And if people knew what it took to come up here and do this, that in itself is amazing. So yeah, when I'm sitting here next
Don't cry.
to him,
I'm going to cry.
no, it's okay.
I
It's
told
okay.
myself
It's
I
okay.
wouldn't cry.
But as I'm sitting here, I'm feeling this expression, and I go right to the
Yeah.
heart. And this is where I would say that we would focus. I have this. When you're empathic, and you can
Yeah.
feel into people's stuff. I'm sitting here and I'm feeling his
I
his
know.
emotion.
It's like we're
and
living it.
and it's I can shut it off, But when you're asking me these questions, I'm right here with it. I can feel that,
Yeah.
So it's such a powerful experience. But that's the first place that I would go is what's going on here, What's what are you looking for? That's the question I would ask.
I mean, I've done this kind of on my own the last 3 or 4 years with help of a few people. I knew that I couldn't control what people thought and felt about me.
Yeah.
But I could learn to love myself and control that.
Yeah.
I wanted to learn to love myself without needing it from another person, because if I could never find that, I had to have happiness, and if I was waiting for somebody else to give that to me, I could very well be waiting my entire life. So
Yeah.
learning to love myself and accept myself for who I am.
That's amazing.
That's so powerful.
I talk to so many people, and we're always looking for that outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
And what I found is you'll never find it out there. You can feel the love from other people, but what it always comes back to, what I find is once you find that within yourself, you never need that from someone else. You're complete. And so that's what I would do with you is find out what's the last limitation, what's blocking that, and give you that information so that you can see it more clearly. And this would be coming from your body. It's almost like a subconscious or an unconscious thing. But I can show you how we access that information. Do we have time for that?
What we'll do, I think
Yeah.
we're going to do it after the break.
Okay.
And that's kind of why I wanted to ask the timeline, because we just have a few more minutes.
Yeah.
So, yes, after the break, we'll do that session with you. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay, doing good. I think we're more emotional than you are. It's like, oh my goodness, because
Yeah.
I think I had told you we met, I guess, a few days ago, a week ago, and I began going through my own. It's like, okay, next I want you to do a session on me. I was been going through my own blocks, my own emotion things. Just helping others brings that up. But for me, I know it's a possibility. It transforms. It wants to release. So it's been powerful. Anything else you'd like to share?
That's the information I got right now, and we can look into that more in depth after the break. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I know we have a couple of minutes, so I wanted to share that, okay, we do have about 5 minutes. Is that long enough, or?
I think so. Yeah.
All
At
right.
least to get some information.
Let's just go ahead.
Yeah.
You set?
Yeah.
Don't be scared.
Let's do it.
Do you want me to talk about this as we go along?
If you would, please. We'd like to kind of know where you're at, what you see, and share that.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Help him out there, John.
Here we go.
So the way that I do this is I have people look away from me
Okay.
here, and
Will
so
you
just
face this front camera for me?
Sure,
We're going to
yeah.
go profile that way.
You wanna
And
go this
Dr.
way?
Jimmy, just
Check.
stand
Okay.
behind him. There you
So what I have the person do is just really breathe and kind of settle into their body and just really feel what's happening here. And the way that I do this is it's a type of biofeedback. So the same thing that they would do with machines, I do that with my hands. It's a way to read the energetic field of the body. And like I said, the body doesn't lie. And so I'm just going to check in here for a second. Yeah, so when I'm paying attention, I already kind of got this when I was sitting down, but where the attention brings me is right over here to the heart. And so I'm going to ask now just some information, get some clarity here of what piece, what's the essence of what this man's looking for. And and bring that up here. So what I get, what comes up, is there's a lot of anger that's here, that's unexpressed, and I usually check in with the person too and say, does that feel accurate in some way?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so the next step would just be to make sure that I'm checking in with them, make sure that that's something that they want to go through with. And once they identify that, then it's maybe giving them different tools and different things to express that. But one of the ways that I can show you how to do that right now is by sinking into your hips and like really bringing the breath down deep into the pelvis. So just, really sinking down here. What this does is it allows the whole body to open up and relax and really feel some of these emotions that have maybe been stored in this area. Can you feel a little something in there?
Yeah.
It's okay, yeah.
I feel like there's always a bit stored in there.
Yeah. So this is something you can do at home, is just breathe like that and bring that up, and just, a lot of times it's hard for people to feel the anger. They might realize it as anxiety or different things because it's been so masked and concealed. But once you know what that thing is and you breathe deep into it, a lot of times, with the breath, you can get that going. And before you know it, what I feel, I get angry too, by the way. When you breathe that up here and let it come out this way, a lot of times you'll feel it come down the arms and like, and maybe this intense rage will come up. And, the first step is to grab a pillow or something and just let all that come out and just, It doesn't matter who it was, where it's from, any of that stuff. When you let that come out, you're acknowledging and you're going into that emotion and you're letting whatever that's here is trapped, you let it come out. And afterwards, your body might have all sorts of aches and pains and different things come out. Your mind might try to figure it out. But once you express that emotion, it's not hanging out here anymore. It's not hidden. So just like your courage, I'm going to go into this. I'm going to show people that I'm strong and that I'm a fighter. It's that same courage that you can use to go into this and get that anger out. And it's such a powerful experience. So I think that might be good for now.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're
Appreciate
welcome.
that.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Thank you. When he's talking with you and doing what it is, do you feel the energy move? Are you feeling that essence? Or what do you feel?
There's a bit of anxiousness,
Okay.
I'm just kind of coming back down here to kind of learn to reconnect with myself.
Right.
So like he said, there's a lot built up that I had recently gotten rid of, and it kind of came back. So yeah, I'm kind of learning to deal with that, so I can kind of feel that coming up.
Ooh, let's all growl or howl or something, because you were standing there going, oh, I want to growl. Because, yeah, that's that release. Were there certain situations that have come up that are causing this?
I think I'm having to deal with a lot of feelings of inadequacy. I'm down here with just one friend and his family, and my family's gone.
There's seconds? Okay, yes, go ahead.
I don't really
we have a
have,
few seconds.
I have a whole lot here, with my friend, but there's a lot of loneliness still,
Will you continue with us after the break?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're going to have a moment taking a break. Words from our sponsor. Please stay tuned.